Alright guys, this next video we're going to watch is how to draw trend lines to make predictions. We still have the same two learning objectives. We want to be able to describe what a graph represents, and we want to be able to make a prediction using a trend line or a line of best fit. So the only big difference here from the last video is that here you notice we don't have any trend lines. We don't have a line going through the data for us, but we can still make some predictions and make some assumptions from this graph. First thing we want to notice, the first question says, right here, it says, what statement can we make based on the data from the scatter plot? Well, again, we want to look at our x and our y-axis. We know that our x-axis is average daily temperature, visitors across our y-axis. It's moving up in a positive direction, so there's a positive correlation or positive association here. We can also say that as the temperature increases, so do the number of beach visitors. So that's what I want you to put right here in this first section of your notes. As temperature increases, because we can go across the x-axis increasing, so does visitors on our y-axis. The next thing it asks us to do is make a prediction. It says, based on the scatter plot, what is the best prediction you can make of number of visitors to the beach when it's 88 degrees outside? So we'll start on our x-axis, 88 degrees. And we're going to draw a line going all the way up because we want to see where our trend line hits that line. So I'm going to change markers real quick. You guys are familiar with Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Goldilocks and the Three Bears said that when Goldilocks was trying to eat the porridge, she didn't want the one that was too hot or too cold. She wanted the one that was just right. So we're going to use that same idea when we're drawing our trend lines. We're going to draw a trend line that is too hot, so it's right above all our data. We're going to draw a trend line that's too cold, so that's right below all our data. Now we want to draw a trend line that's just right. This trend line is going to be right through the center of those two lines, and this should get all of our data. Notice that our trend line, the middle line, has a good even split of data points on either side of it. So the point where it hits is right about there. And we say that if it's 88 degrees out, it's probably going to be about 380 visitors or so. We'll use that same trend line, the just right trend line, to do the next one. The next question says, based on the scatter plot, what is the best prediction you can make for the average daily temperature if there's 525 visitors? So now it's having us look at the y-axis. 525 is right here. We're going to go across to see where it hits our trend line. Hits our trend line right about there and we go down. So that shows in order to get 525 visitors, we should have an average daily temperature of about 92 degrees. Alright guys, so here we are on our second one. Again, we want to look into the scatter plot to see what we're comparing. We'll look at our x and our y-axis. X-axis says hours of sleep. Y-axis is test scores. So we could say the statement we can make, as hour of sleep increases, test scores increase. So I want you to write that here in this first box. What statement can we make based on the data from the scatter plot? As hours of sleep increase, test scores increase. So now let's go ahead and look at what the question's asking us to predict. It says, based on the scatter plot, what is the best prediction you can make on the number of hours of sleep a student got when they scored a 90 on the test? So first things first, 90 on the test means my y-axis. Here's a 90. Let me slide across. And I want to see where my trend line's going to hit. So if you remember from the last video, we're doing Goldilocks. So if you want to try it by yourself, pause it right now and try it on your paper. If not, let's get going. So Goldilocks idea, remember, is we don't want it too hot, so I'm going to go on top. And notice we have a couple of outliers like this guy right there. We don't need to include all that data, but we're going to go to the top of the majority of our data. We're going to go on the bottom of the majority of our data. So that's our too hot and our too cold. Now we want to do our just right line. And I know it's not perfect, but let's do the best we can here. Going right through the center. Notice that my blue line that's at 90 degrees and my line of best fit, or my trend line, intersect right about here. So if we want to get a 90 on our test, let's take that all the way down. We need to get at least 7 hours of sleep. So for our next one, it says, based on the scatter plot, what is the best prediction you can make on your test score? What's the best prediction that you can get on the test score if a student receives 11 hours of sleep? Man, 11 hours isn't even on this graph, so where are we going to put it? If 10's right here and I continue it on, 11 must be right here. That's not even on there, but let's see where it goes to. Sorry, it's not the best straight line, but it's going to intersect right there. Man, my bowed out line didn't work very well, guys, but it should look like if we get about 11 hours of sleep, if my line's a little better, we're scoring right about 100. And I know it's not perfect, but that gives us a pretty good idea of what our prediction is going to be. Just like we did before on the last video, guys, the idea here is that you're just trying to make those lines that's going to make a prediction. We can't make a perfect straight line because the data is all over the place. So this is following the trend or the pattern of our data. All right, guys, before you're done, I want you to go ahead and log on to quizzes. You can either do it through the Google Classroom or you can just go to joinmyquizzes.com and enter the game code to get some practice. Have a great day.